Now when these Ford Explorers came out, Steeda did what it always does. Stick to our bread and butter. Lowering springs, strut tower brace, front and rear sway bars. Never in a million years did we think this market would explode like it has. We're talking diff braces, vertical links. So what did we do? Well, we got together as a team and decided we're going all in on the Ford Explorer. Why? Because we've been doing Ford performance for over 35 years. So that's why we hit the entire rear subframe. We've got our bushing support kit. It's patent pending, and you can see the difference it makes all over the internet, from better handling to better traction. So what was the next logical step for us? Well, it was shoring up that rear diff. Everybody knows Steeda makes the best rear diff support on the market. So looking back at video, doing further testing, we saw when we locked up the rear, we were putting a tremendous amount of stress on that front pinion bushing. That led us to this poly bushing design that we're going to show you how simple it is to install on this Explorer ST. Tell you all about the benefits, how it's going to actually help prolong your rear diff bushing and your factory rear diff bolt, whether you've got a 1 bolt or a 2 bolt option. Super easy install. Let's show you how it's done. Scott Boda here with Steeda Autosports to talk to you about a brand new exciting part for the 2020 plus Ford Explorer. Steeda's new Explorer rear differential front pinion bushings. What these are going to do is keep that front pinion angle from changing on you. One of the biggest issues with the Ford Explorer was breaking those rear diff bolts. So that's why when we released our Steeda billet rear diff brace, we made it the absolute best on the market. Right? And then looking at the footage from underneath the vehicle, we saw the whole subframe moving. Similar to what we did with the Mustang, we went ahead and made those rear subframe bushings. We loved it so much, we patented it. So that's going to control the subframe movement, not only allow you to plant that horsepower to the ground, but we've also gotten tons of reports the car handles better, it goes around corners better. Well, looking back at all the data, the next logical step for us to do was to address that front pinion bushing. Like it was said many years ago, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Well, now that we're stiffening up the rear of the diff, all that energy and inertia is going to these factory, weak and soft front pinion bushings. In fact, these things are like chewing gum, super soft. So while we're protecting those rear diff bolts, we're putting a lot of stress on these front bushings in the front rear differential. And anybody knows when you have a change in pinion angle, you're going to also have a loss of traction and poor handling. In comes Steeda's urethane front pinion bushings. These took quite a while to develop because, well, we want to have the right durometer. This is still your Ford Explorer. If we want to just lock in the front pinion, we can make these bushings out of Delrin, but it's going to absolutely generate a ton of NVH, and you're not going to want to drive your Explorer for what it was meant to do, hauling things around, lugging the family around. So we finally settled on a great durometer that was over 30% stiffer than factory, but it makes no NVH. Now, to accompany these bushings, we also have our billet 1018 steel washers. These things are pretty beefy. There's no washer actually on the shelf anywhere we could find domestically. So we made these in-house out of billet 1018 steel, 3 1/4 diameter, and 4 of those come in the kit to lock the top and the bottoms of the bushings. Also in the center of the bushing, you have a billet 6061 sleeve. Once again, this was made in-house and it's going to give you that durability you need. So why do you need this? When should you get them? Well, anytime you add that Explorer rear differential brace, let's face it, you're expecting a little bit more performance out of your Ford Explorer. That is the perfect time to address those front pinion bushings. Like I said, any reduction in pinion movement is going to increase traction. So you have that rear diff brace, that is a great time to go ahead and add these front pinion bushings because, let's face it, you're just going to add more rigidity to that and it's going to be less wear and tear. The more things are moving, the more wheel hop you have, the harder it is on all of your rear suspension components. So why the front pinion bushings? Well, unlike in the Mustang application where all the rear diff bushings and bolts, they're all horizontal, right? Well, on the Explorer, the fronts are actually vertical. So it doesn't put a lot of stress on the bolt, but what it does do is provide a lot of movement with the front of that differential. So we want to focus on that, eliminate that front pinion movement, which is going to increase traction every single time. Now, we're not just going to stop there. In fact, we just had a brand new subframe arrive today that we're going to be looking at all of those rear subframe bushings. Not only the subframe to the body, but the rear diff bolt bushings for the back of your differential, because let's face it, we've shown that a lot of people online, I think less eco, more boost, he just broke his rear differential bushings. And Ford wanted $2,900 to address that. Well, if he had the Steeda diff brace on there, it could have prevented that. If he had the front pinion bushings, that's going to prevent differential movement as well. This was the next logical step. Why? It's no permanent modifications. This is a simple bolt-in design where you simply remove your factory two-piece design, grease up our Steeda design, and install it. Once again, no permanent modifications. You ever tend to sell your Explorer later on down the road? You don't want people to think that you are launching it and beating on it? Simply remove these, put back in the factory pieces. Now to change those rear differential bushings, that's going to be another story. That entire differential has to come out of the car, as well as the entire rear subframe. It's a very time-consuming job, so that's why this was our next logical step before we move on to more of those complicated parts. So let's check out the video of before the Steeda rear differential front pinion bushings compared to the stock bushings and show you just how much of a difference it makes. We'll go ahead and show you how simple it is to install these. Like I was saying, no permanent modifications, something you can easily do in your garage floor on some floor jacks. Here are the tools required. First, start by unbolting the exhaust hangers in the rear. They hook to the body so the bolts can be removed. Then, moving forward on the vehicle, pry the rubber isolators off the exhaust. Unhook the mufflers from the body and lower them onto a set of jack stands. Use a jack to support the rear differential. Remove the two bolts holding the front pinion bushings in place. Lower the differential down. This will help you gain access to the bushings. Use a pry bar to remove the factory bushings. The end caps may come off. Just use a small screwdriver to push the rest of the bushing assembly out. Use the supplied grease on the new bushings as shown. You can use the packet to spread the grease. Make sure you get the center of the bushing greased as well. Start from above and push the first bushing into place. Then on the bottom, press the next bushing in place. Make sure they are fully inserted. Then install the new provided sleeve. Repeat this process on the other side. Place the washers on the top of each side. Lift the differential back into place to get the bolt secured. Tighten each side down evenly. Torque the bolts to 160 foot-pounds. Now we need to reinstall the exhaust and reconnect the rubber isolators. Hook the mufflers back into place. Get the hangers bolted in on each side. After that, your installation is complete. As you can see, installation, very straightforward, simple install. One of the best parts about it too, it's completely reversible, meaning no permanent modifications to your rear chassis or subframe. Now, when this vehicle was brought to us, it already had our Steeda rear subframe bushing support kit installed. So when you watch the video, you'll notice there's no subframe deflection. Well, not only is that a good thing, but we wanted to make sure when we were showing you the before and afters of this front pinion bushing, you don't have to deal with the rear subframe moving around. You could stay focused. In fact, by locking out that rear subframe with our bushing support kit, it's actually going to put more force on that front pinion. And as you can see, those Steeda urethane bushings, they're doing their job. Straightforward, easy installation, no increase in NVH whatsoever. That's the key to this. We spent a lot of time coming out with the perfect durometer urethane bushing that not only offers us the performance that we know you expect, but also to give us that kind of stability in your rear differential to make sure you're not tearing up more parts. If you've got a diff brace on the back of your Ford Explorer, this is the absolutely perfect complementary part to help shear up that rear diff, prevent diff bolt failures and rear bushing failures, because let's face it, those can be very expensive. These kits are in stock. They're available at Steeda.com. Hit like, subscribe, follow us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and remember the most important thing, Steeda, where speed matters.